So our first question is about nonprofits.
Yep.
And, we've all seen the world changing. Nonprofits are very aware of the way the world is changing. Individuals using social media to the point that individuals in nonprofits are using social media.
Right.
It's, reaching the whole ubiquity stage. So what's the role of nonprofits now online? Are they conveners for individuals using tools? Are they content producers? Are they participants in the same way individuals are? What's their role now?
They're almost certainly not participants in the same way individuals are, right? The legal fiction of the corporation as an individual actor doesn't extend to the point where we actually think, oh yeah, my community includes the ACLU.
Right.
The first two things, right? Content producers, conveners, I think absolutely. Switching yards between members, all of those kinds of things are available to them. So I think there's both negative and positive. There's essentially negative outcomes they need to avoid and positive outcomes they need to start dealing with. The negative outcomes are kind of exemplified by this thing that happened on Meetup several years ago, where the ACLU sued Meetup, the American Civil Liberties Union sued Meetup to prevent ACLU meetups from happening because they were concerned A, about trademark violations, and B, about the content of the meetings. But I think C, not in the letter but sort of implicit in this, was the idea that everything that says ACLU on it is A, ours to control, and B, we will be blamed for if it goes wrong.
Right.
And so the very curious effect of saying, if you and I are both card-carrying members of the ACLU, we're not allowed to use that fact in this new environment, struck me as being a disastrous culture clash that was coming. So the way I've been talking to nonprofits about it is the old model, right? We call you a member, and what that means is you give us money and we give you a newsletter. That essentially involves an outbound communication from us to you. Here's the newsletter, here's what we're doing in Washington, here's what we're doing on the road, whatever. And you can think of it as a kind of giant star, right? The nonprofit's in the center, it's broadcasting rays of light to all of the individual members at the edges. What everybody's kind of gotten used to from the era of digital communications, low-cost tools, and so forth, is that everybody can now talk back. So everybody's gone and updated their drawing to make that arrow be two ways. I talk to the members, and then the members talk back to me, and suddenly I have this big communications challenge. But the line back is much less radical and represents a much less dramatic shift than the lateral lines, than the lines drawn between members that are in the way using the idea of the ACLU as a platform for coordination, but don't need help or permission from the ACLU to come together. And what I would say is that the biggest determinant for the role of a nonprofit is, what do you do about those lateral lines? So the negative thing, as I said, is if your principal goal is to stop those lateral lines from forming, you've got a wasting asset, right? Your membership base will start to move away because things that they expect and are rewarded in every other aspect of their lives, right? If I like Warcraft and you like Warcraft, we can hang out on Warcraft boards. If I like macrame and you like macrame, we can hang out on macrame boards, but not civil liberties? That's a losing proposition over time. The positive goal that nonprofits can embrace is to say, which of those lateral connections will be most valuable to us, which to the cause, which to the members? Because it's not like you want to put everybody in touch with each other all the time. No one wants to be on a mailing list with 100,000 participants. But being able to say, hey, the 15 of you that are in our organization and are all in Fort Collins, Colorado, maybe you ought to go out and talk to each other about this local issue. So it isn't just being general purpose introduction, but in a way having some sense of, you all care about the issue, you all share something in common, whether it's geography or outlook or skills or whatever, and only we as an organization can see into both of those kinds of value. That's I think the really radical convening function. Not just passive convening, right? Oh, use your membership in Greenpeace as a dating network for like-minded individuals. Anybody can spin up that idea. It's really when a nonprofit can say, we think you all will find value out of associating in these particular groups at this particular time. But it requires a really dramatic shift. It requires taking the scare quotes from around member and saying, actually, right, in the same way that you talk about, the members of the body, like we're made up of you, right? We're not just made up of your money and our executive committee. We're actually made up of you, the members, as our existence. You then start to figure out ways to coordinate the members in ways that create the kind of value that we couldn't have gotten to in the 20th century. But that's becoming not just available now, but cheap, trivial, and kind of expected by the people who participate.